A new year, a new Congress, and a mixed bag of priorities for House Republicans. Members of the new House vowed to take on immigration, public safety, and parental rights. Also promises of an investigation into the FBI and the origins of COVID, and of course, the state of the U.S. economy. And joining us tonight to help us unpack this and other headlines is Patrice Onwuka, director of the Center for Economic Opportunity at the Independent Women's Forum. Patrice, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We named just a few of the items on the docket for the new Congress, but curious, what tops your list, and what do you think they need to get to straight away?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on this evening. I think there's some usual items of order that need to be tackled. You're going to see the debt ceiling come up pretty quickly, raising the amount of funding that the federal government can borrow, just to pay for its bills. I think you'll also, obviously, those big federal budget fights. We've seen a $1.7 trillion bill passed just before the Christmas bells rang or the New Year's bell rang. But we're going to see this fight again in September. What is unusual, and I think one of the top priorities we're going to see, is really around the IRS. So House Republicans, and frankly, the entire GOP, has really made it a top priority to go after $80 billion that were passed as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, does not reduce inflation, but that's going to carve out over 70,000 new IRS agents that are going to be tasked with really going after small businesses, trying to find every penny under every sofa they can in the American household or the American business. So I think you're going to see Republicans try to repeal some of that money and that mandate. And then you're going to see some other fights come up. We haven't seen the Farm Bill, for example, that provides money for welfare programs like SNAP or food stamps, for example. So you're going to see opportunities where Republicans are going to say, you know what, we need to rein in spending. And here are some big ticket items and opportunities that we want to see Democrats come to the table with us to rein in spending as a condition for continuing to see these priorities funded.
Yeah, I mean, the economy really certainly top of mind for so many. And with that said, a new Gallup poll released today finds Americans are largely pessimistic about the economy in 2023. Your reaction to that, Patrice, and what do you think needs to happen to turn things around?
I'm not surprised. Let's think about this. I mean, high interest rates, have priced a lot of new homeowners out of the market. This is after, high housing costs priced them out of the market. Inflation hitting a 9.1% last year, highest in 40 years. We've seen it moderate, but again, inflation makes your paycheck shrink. It makes it harder for you to pay those regular household grocery bills and heat your home and get to work every day. So there's a lot of pressure on the family budget. Spending is increasing because you have to pay more for everything. At the same time, savings have been cut significantly as people dig into all of those pandemic savings. So what I think we need to see happen, we need to find a way to, number one, ensure that the number of goods being produced continue to increase. That means, companies need to be able to produce. They need more workers. Maybe they need more efficiency in their work. We also need to allow regular employees to keep more of their paycheck. Pay tax cuts, people don't like to admit them, but they're really important for ensuring that you have more money and more of your income to be able to put towards these increasing costs. I think it's going to be some time before we see the interest rate hikes that have taken hold really filter through the rest of the economy, but it's happening, and we're seeing prices in the home market come down. Unfortunately, we're seeing unemployment start to rise in some key industries. Will we see recession this year? I'm pretty sure we will. We saw 2 quarters of negative growth last year, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see it again. A lot of economists agree. And so families, you've got to tighten your budget at this time and really figure out a way to make those pennies stretch a little bit farther.
Patrice, we probably have about 30 seconds left or so, but I want to get your take on this, a completely different note. Legislators have vowed to enact a parent bill of rights. This as the CDC just issued an assessment tool for teachers to measure LGBTQ inclusivity in their classrooms. Patrice, what more do you know about this, and why would the Centers for Disease Control issue such a guideline for schools?
I think the CDC is definitely driven by an agenda, and there are many people who disagree with that agenda. Many people, particularly parents, who say, I want to have conversations about sex, about sexuality, about all of these issues related to the identity of a child in my own home with my pastor in my church community. And unfortunately, we're seeing government take the reins and try to institute it through our education system. It's important that I think conservatives are putting forward legislative efforts. We saw this start in the state of Virginia under Governor Youngkin, and I think Republicans nationwide are recognizing parents need control. They need that control over what their children are taught, and especially when it comes to messages that are not about your basic education. They're much more about your identity. Identity is formed in the home, and I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Patrice, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate your insights. Hope to see you back.
Thank you.